Okay, welcome to this advanced course. We're going to start with parts of speech, and this is because I'm going to use this vocabulary very often in this course, especially when I'm explaining grammar, but also sometimes when I'm explaining vocabulary. And it seems to me that some people have not learnt exactly what each of these words mean. And if you do know exactly what a noun is, what an adjective is, what a determiner is, what a finite verb is, what a non-finite verb is, it's a lot easier. And that's why I wanted to start with definitions for all of these words. And then we'll look at different sentences and we'll decide how the word is functioning in different sentences, because that's how you truly understand what it means to be a conjunction, what it means to be a preposition. And generally speaking, these words tell you the function of the word. A conjunction joins parts of speech. A preposition is always joined to a noun, theoretically. Okay, and so let's start with a noun, because that's perhaps the most common part of speech. I'm not sure, being honest, but it's a very important part of speech. And a noun can be simply described as a thing. It doesn't have to be a physical thing. It could be an abstract thing, but it's always a thing. That's what a noun is. Now, a pronoun is a type of noun. That's important. Yeah, it is a noun, a pronoun, but a pronoun is a noun that stands in for another noun. Now, that sounds quite weird and confusing, perhaps, but let me show you what I mean. We means Peter and Sally. So we is a pronoun because it's standing in for Peter and Sally. They might be standing in for Philip and Mark, yeah, and I is standing in for Dave, yeah, and also words like it or this very often stand in for another noun, yeah. I bought it, maybe you mean the pen, so it stands in for pen, so it is a pronoun. This is a pronoun when it stands in for something, so I bought this, okay, maybe this stands in for the book. That means that this is a pronoun when it's used like that, okay? And so that's what pronoun means. And noun is even wider because pronouns are nouns, technically. But noun is any other thing. So a shed is a noun. Pen is a noun. Board is a noun. Mouth is a noun. Eye is a noun. Hair is a noun, yeah? Because these are all things, right? Okay, so noun is perhaps the easiest part of speech. Adjective is pretty easy as well, because an adjective always describes a noun. It describes a thing, so it always describes a noun. That's what an adjective does. So big, small, they always describe a noun, yeah? A big dog, a small cat, big and small are obvious adjectives. But also, if you say a rich man, a poor man, okay, rich is describing man, poor is describing man, and generally speaking, our adjectives usually go before the noun, yeah? Like a big dog, a rich man, an expensive hotel. Expensive is an adjective describing hotel, but not always, because we have a lot of verbs called copular verbs, okay? Copular verbs. Now, the most common copular verb is to be. And when you say I am hot, hot is an adjective describing I. So they don't always come before the noun. When you say I am hot, hot comes after the pronoun that it's describing. So I want you to remember that. And there are other copular verbs as well. And you can think of copular verbs as verbs that can be followed by an adjective that describes the subject, okay? Because other verbs, they need an adverb to describe them, as we'll see in a moment. But copular verbs, well, they don't have the adjective describing the verb. The adjective describes the subject of to be or to get or to become or these other copular verbs, okay? So adjectives are pretty easy because they're usually right before a noun, but sometimes they are after a copular verb. Okay, what about determiner? What's this determiner? I think some languages don't have determiners or don't use them in the same way that we do in English. And a determiner is kind of like an adjective, and that's why I've put here irremovable adjective. Now, why do I say that? I say that because a determiner identifies or quantifies a thing. And some of you might straight away think, well, hang on, if it's identifying or quantifying a thing, it's describing a thing, so determiners are adjectives. And you would be right in a way. However, we do make a distinction between adjectives and determiners, and I would say that determiners are irremovable adjectives, and so that they're kind of a subset of adjectives, but they're not exactly the same as an ordinary adjective, and I'll show you why with this very first example. Look at these two sentences. We have little time remaining. Yeah, and I want you to compare the function of little in that first sentence with we have a little house. Yeah, what kind of word is little in the first sentence, and what kind of word is little in the second sentence? Well, in the second sentence, little describes the house, okay, so it's just a small house, a little house, yeah, and that's why in this sentence it's an adjective. It's not telling us how many houses. Notice it's not quantifying the house, and it's not telling us which house, this house, that house, a house, the house. You see, a is a determiner. It tells us which one, a house, not the house, not that house, but a house. It's identifying the house. So that word is a determiner, but this word is an adjective. Now compare that with the first sentence. We have little time remaining. Little here does not mean small. It means not much. Yeah, we have not much time remaining. We don't have much time remaining. So little here is quantifying the noun time. It's saying not much, and not much is a quantity. Yeah, so little is quantifying time, and that's why little here is a determiner. Yeah, and so you can see that sometimes you can see that we do need to make a distinction here. This little is different from this little. This little is a quantifier, and all quantifiers are determiners because they quantify the noun, the thing. Yeah, so this little is a determiner, it's quantifying time, and this little is an adjective, it's describing house. It's just describing it, it's not quantifying or identifying it. And what I want you to notice is that this little is irremovable. It's more essential to the meaning of the sentence. You can't say we have time remaining and it's anything like we have little time remaining. It drastically alters the meaning. But we have a little house it's still correct that you have a house. You can remove little, we have a house, and yeah, we have a house and it's little, right? And so this little is not so essential. You can take it out, we have a house, we have a little house, but this little is much more important. When you take it out, it drastically alters the sentence. We have time remaining is not at all the same as we don't have much time remaining. It's almost opposite, yeah? And so this little is an irremovable adjective. It's a determiner. You can't take it out, yeah? We have time remaining without drastically changing the meaning of the sentence. You can take this out without drastically changing the meaning. We have a house, we have a little house. Okay, and so there is a difference between them, and that's why we have this difference. And the most common determiners, I would actually recommend that you just learn a lot of the determiners as a list. They're all quantifiers, so few, little, some, any. Yeah, these are all determiners. Some. Notice they always go before a noun. Yes, some people. I don't have any friends. Yeah, and then any quantifies friends. So few, some, any, little, less, more. Yeah, these are all determiners because they quantify the noun that follows them. Okay, and also a and the are perhaps the most common determiners. A, the. And also all possessive pronouns like his or her or your or their, his, her, their, because that tells you who the noun belongs to. It's his hat, it's her homework, it's their house. So it identifies a thing. So they are determiners as well, even though they're called possessive pronouns. And this is where I'm going to tell you straight away that there are a lot of words in grammar that are there to confuse you, and they've confused me for a long time. And so you just have to memorize that a possessive pronoun is technically not a pronoun, even though it's called a possessive pronoun in lots of grammar books. A possessive pronoun is technically not a pronoun, it's a determiner. And that's why some students even tell me that they call them possessive adjectives. Fair enough. They are possessive adjectives. They show you possession, and they do describe a noun, but they identify the noun. So possessive determiners would be an even better name. That's what we'll call them, possessive determiners. But I'm well aware, yes, the grammar books very often call them possessive pronouns, and I suppose it's because they're related to he, which definitely is a pronoun, yeah, he, his, and him, which is an object pronoun, and it definitely is a pronoun. It's a noun that stands in for another noun.